Welcome back, strange crew. You are tuned into another trip through life's deep cuts. We hope you enjoy the ride.
Two, one, rollin'. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Strange Grooves. We're here with an exclusive episode, and we're joined with a few guests. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us in the humid apartments of Horsefield Street on St. John. Very grateful for the fan today, but definitely need of AC. So if there are any sponsors out there that would love to donate a AC unit, we're into it.
Appreciate it.
Anyways, thanks y'all for tuning in. And how you guys all doing?
Doing great today. Having an awesome day. Excited to be here.
Beautiful Wednesday. Beautiful day for a day off.
Love that. So I guess...
How's your day?
How are you? Yeah.
Can't complain.
Hayden.
Well, before we get into it, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? I'm going to start off right over here.
All right, so I'm Hayden, or White VHS. I'm also a member of Dash Talk, so yeah, got that going on.
Over to you, buddy.
I'm Shawn, and I'm sweetgoose64, not a member of Dash Talk.
Yeah.
You're also a returning guest. This is your second time on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Longtime listeners may remember when we visited local 107.3.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a blonde
Throwback
then.
Thursday.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And then
Back in the day,
then
you
at
and
the
me,
live
baby.
show.
Yeah. You're one of our few, one of the first questions at our live show.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that was thank you for doing that, by the way.
Got to be engaged.
I appreciate the engagement. Seriously.
We love
Sometimes
that.
people, they need a couple other people to kind of raise their hand and be a little bit crazy to ask the questions.
That.
I guess I'll go now. I'm Will, member of Dash Talk, as well as a few other bands around the area, St. John area.
It's your turn.
My name's Jake, and I'm in Dash Talk.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
Well, thank you all. So you guys have a really cool event coming up, and we're going to definitely talk about that. But I guess to get things going, it's a question we usually start off with all our guests. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and sort of how you got into music and some of your early influences. Whoever wants to go first.
You can also feel free to take this.
Yes, we can pass it around.
So I started going to shows around St. John in 2013, 2014. I remember at the Art Center around that time, Julia Wright was doing these Hard Times in the Maritime shows. So basically the first time that I would have seen bands like Reagan's Ray Guns, Learning, Little You, Little Me, that's when it was kind of like game over for me. Like I stopped playing sports and just started a band, and it was kind of just like, I don't know. And then we started playing, like our group of friends, like Jake, Hayden, and I, we would all do shows at the TRC for a while. And then we found out about Taco Pica, and that was kind of our headquarters for a long time. So it's good now that there's venues again, like Haven Music Hall now are open, and Wasted Day and McGill's, that we can sort of facilitate that sort of scene again. It's kind of coming back slowly, you know.
It evolves, but it takes people, really trying to give it a go again, and finding space and volunteering and really being resourceful to make it happen. And it evolves, and every phase of chapter of life, there's different venues and different spaces. But yeah, it definitely takes the community to roll it in.
Absolutely. And whether or not all the same bands from that time are still together, it's still mostly the same people making up new bands. And honestly, there's a lot of new faces around in the scene now, so it's not like the same 6-7 people making up 4 or 5 bands anymore.
Yeah.
Well said.
Some things are true.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you want to answer too?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was always around music related stuff when I was a kid. My dad and my uncles were always, playing guitar or drums or something like that. So I picked up on that stuff before I was even able to walk. I was doing shit like that. My first recorded song, I think I was 2.5 years old or something like that. So yeah, I was.
Insert the clip if found.
Yes, it's
Roll the clip.
I'll send it. I'll send it to you guys for sure.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes,
But yeah, that like, so I had always had a super big interest in writing music and, different instruments and stuff. And then around the time all that was happening with Will was honestly, around the same time that like I really started taking bands seriously and collaboration, group effort, that kind of thing. Because for the longest time, I was just doing things by myself. But to have a group of people to bounce ideas off of and really get a kind of a fuller sound or a more, I don't know, just having the different influences kind of all combined to create something completely unique, is super cool. So very appreciative to have these guys around for sure.
That's so nice.
That's right, sweet. Well, that brings me to one of my favorite questions, and it's going to be a hybrid question. So answer it how you'd like, but can you tell me a little bit about your favorite music memory? And it can be sweet, odd. It can be a story of a concert. It can be a favorite concert. But it's gotta have a reason why it's special to share.
I think my favorite music memory would definitely be our first show that we did with cassette tapes at Takapika.
Oh, sweet.
And seeing Smoke Eaters, shout out Smoke Eaters. I don't know if they're still around or not, but
I have your cassette. I still listen to that album all the time. It's awesome. Bonnie Brook Road.
it was just nice having my family there and to kind of share that and be really loud. That was awesome.
That show was special for me too because it actually fell on my birthday. So my band Thirsty Camel at the time played, and everyone sang "Happy Birthday" in the crowd.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Our friend was Alec in Thirsty Camel?
Yeah. Alec
Yep.
Martin.
Yep.
Yes.
She was the drummer. Yeah, and Josh Hicks too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show was like kind of our first, well, it wasn't our first time playing at the scene or in that scene, but I feel like that kind of really solidified us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's when like the older, like the people who were a little bit older than us were starting to kind of take us a little bit more seriously, and we weren't just playing at like the Teen Resource Center anymore.
I love how there's a whole generation of the Teen Resource Center shows still like happening. Cause I remember going to concerts there at like when growing up as well. And that it's always continued. There's such an important spot to get started.
shout out to Letty.
Yeah, big time.
They used to get so mad at us, like sometimes when we would host shows there, like we would just like turn the PA up and up and up, and they would tell us to turn it down and down and down, and the cops would always get called every time, and yeah.
Well, I think like
Those
it's
are the
one of
days.
the like it's one of those things where you just have to like be respectful of each other and actually not be a douchebag and like knock people over when things get a little bit hectic, right?
Look out for each other.
Look out for each other, but like legit, because like we've had some instances at shows where like we've done recent podcasts where it's just like it gets a little bit crazy. Like let's go loud as fuck, but at the same time, like you don't need to be like tripping people and like being insane and breaking noses. Like you know what I mean? Like I've literally been to some insane mosh pits like all over, and I'll tell you the most surprising one that scared the shit out of me. It wasn't Cannibal Corpse. It wasn't Meshuggah. It wasn't anything like that. It was Sublime.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious. So like you don't know what you don't know. So if you're going to see Sublime, be careful because
my God.
Anyways, yeah, that was a tangent, but yeah, I think it's like if you're respectful of places and people see people having a good time and things don't get wrecked, I think all we really deal with is noise complaints.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you're doing what you can to be respectful of people and you're considerate, then there's really no ammo to fire, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So the show must go on.
What about you, Shawn? What's your favorite music memory? So it doesn't need to be, it could be one where, you've played and been directly involved in, or it could be a show that you've been to.
Or it could be like driving in the truck with somebody when you were a kid. Like that's one.
It's very broad,
That's
this
very
question.
personal.
My like two things come to mind. There's one that like I have a memory that helped me like the moment I got rid of stage fright, and that was doing like a solo violin recital at my middle school talent show. I was young and I was like really nervous, and it was just like me screeching away on the violin as like everyone cringed, including my teachers. And I think that really helped me set my expectations, and now when I get up on stage, I'm like, how bad can it really go, And I think that really helped. I think beyond that, the Gothic Arches, which is now a big, nice apartment complex. A lot of really good memories there, as a young kid. Like seeing like 8-Bit Wally and like Amnesty and a lot of these like really old St. John bands, and like what a venue, this old Gothic church. And we were just like crammed like sardines in that room, but just everyone was really enjoying it. And just a lot of good memories there. That's what comes to mind.
Gothic Arches was a big rave spot, wasn't it?
Kate Rovers. There. And then I went to see Alexis on Fire the next night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We played with Cancer Bats. Yeah, that's sick.
We're going to a 2-night rave, and then on Saturday night, Cancer Bats played with Alexis on Fire, and it was just like such a turn of events and attire.
Oh my gosh.
But good times. Good times. I think that was 2006.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I feel like I was a little too young. Like I kind of missed the boat on the Gothic Arches rave era. But
I was underage.
Well, I know, but like I was, I wasn't a bad girl like you.
Very wild. Like, I'm just like, almost 20 years ago. Like,
Cherise, not a bad girl.
Wasn't a bad girl yet.
So I like to say, like, all ages shows things that if you're respectful and you're not being a heat score or a douchebag, people don't mind you coming in.
What's a heat score?
Just like getting fucking plastered for literally no reason and people having to babysit your ass.
Attracting
like just go in and
that's an interesting term.
Like when I was in high school, for example, if I wanted to go smoke weed, I wouldn't go outside in front of the plaza. I would literally go find a really beautiful spot in nature or ask my friend with a car to go rip around. Like it's there's no
you're like asking to get caught basically.
And there's so much audacity out in this time. I tell you what, everyone, you want to know what grinds my gears? No, I'm just joking.
I get what you mean now.
Yeah.
So, anyone else? Any other? Before we move on, I don't want to cut anyone off from sharing a music mem.
I can tell you my least favorite music memory.
Okay, yes, we're here for it. Yes,
throw it down.
So I was in 2 of the bands that were playing this night, and we were all underage. And one of the guys in this band that I was in at the time, called Provincial Camps, he was the one that booked the show at Thunder and Lightning in Sackville. So this was like pretty much our first experience going out of town, and like we were like really excited. And then
around the road,
yeah,
like this is it.
Yeah, and he like the guy who booked the show, who was in the band Provincial Camps with me. I'm not going to name names or anything, but he just like completely like fucked off, like dropped out. He was like, "I'm too anxious to go up" or whatever. So we were like, "Fuck, okay, like whatever. We're still going to make it work." And anyways. We finally get to the venue, and they're giving us a hard time because we're all underage and stuff. And we're just like, we just traveled all the way from St. John. Like, I know it's not that far, but it's like, it's our buddy's mom driving us and stuff. So she's already not happy with it. And they, like, I didn't know what breakables were for drums too. They were like, "Yeah, we have a house kit here you can play." So I'm like, "Sweet!" Like, I don't have to bring anything. So, anyways, they have all these like shitty cymbals and stuff that they had kicking around. So I got to use that. And eventually, the promoter was like, "Yeah, like you guys can stay, I guess." And anyways, we played the set, and I just remember I went to go, like, I was playing drums, and I went to go do like a fill. And the rack tom just completely fell off the stage. And I was just like, it's going to be a long night. And then I had to play another set right after that. And then once the 2 bands that we like traveled up all together were done, they were like, "Yeah, you can't stay for the closing band." So they just kicked us out. They were like, "Yeah, come back when you're 19.
That might be one of the craziest stories of perseverance and patience that I've ever heard. I can't believe you played an additional set after that.
I don't know why I did, honestly. And it's like they told us that we couldn't stay for the closing band, but it's like our little crew that we brought up were like the only people at the show anyway. So it's like this band either didn't play or they played to no one. And then my parents were out of town that night, so when I got back to town they were like, yeah, we're not actually home right now. So I had to crash on my friend's couch. Just a shit night, honestly. But
One for the memory books.
yeah, you can say that again.
And if you ever forget, you'll have this nice thing in 40 years to look back on.
Yeah.
Just the fact that like they were like, oh yeah, you can play 2 sets and make money for us, but when it comes to the end of the thing, like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't know how much money we were actually making them though, because we couldn't buy beer.
Yeah, Shreese and I, like, you know, we work with a lot of different, you know, musicians and bands, like on our business side. And one of the things that we've really tried to, and I don't know, maybe you guys run into this, and maybe this isn't right for the podcast, but I say, fuck it, let's get into it. You know, the whole pay what you can, tips for artists and stuff, like, fuck that. It costs money to go places. It costs money to bring your gear in. It costs money to rent it.
I agree.
It costs money to have a safe place to stay, a safe place to stow your gear, to park. And that's one thing I know that Haven's been really, really conscious of. Like, you know, if they're able to work with the Delta or other people, if they're going to bring in other town bands, they're conscious of it. They make sure that there's safe parking, that there's show buddies part of the show. Like, you know, take care of your people. And if you're going to make $14 off a cocktail, then pay your goddamn artists when they're coming in to play a show, whether it's a couple $100 or not. Otherwise, don't go play there. Seriously. And if you need help, I mean, I'm not an agent, and we're not agents, but we do work with people to make sure, like, you know, that things are marketed well, so that whether you're paying door people or a fee or whatever that is, it's like you have that information. I think that's so important. But random tangent, but I just think it's important. It's something that kind of happened after the pandemic, where it was like we needed to get people back out to shows, and people want different acts coming through, but they don't realize that, especially if you're in 2 or 3 bands and you've got 5 or 6 people, like, trying to like get gas and get a hotel room and eat.
Oh, the cost of inflation too.
I mean, what are you going to make? A couple $100 off the door? Like, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people to tour, right? So you have to kind of make sure that things are, you know,
even just like local shows. Like if you're printing posters and like you're doing advertisements on like Instagram or Facebook and stuff, like it's still like a good chunk out of like what you're potentially going to make. And I don't know. I've had like a couple shows ever where like I'll run it at a loss because like I want to do the promo, and I want to have people there, and I want to see them having fun, and I want to see my friends there and stuff like that. But you know, just I don't know. I think people should realize that like sometimes like musicians will do that just to like have
everyone's running to get Taylor Swift promo codes. It's like you can pay $15 to see your band at McGill's.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And especially like in today's day and age, like, you know, Starbucks is $10. Like if you can't go out and pay cover at the door, even just by donation, I don't think you should go.
I do like the no one turned away for lack of funds, but I do think at the same time too, there is the argument to be made. Well, it's like if you're, you know, typically at these shows and you just show up one night and it's like, you know, you see that the cover charge is clearly like $10-15 or whatever, and you're just like, well, sorry, I don't have the money. It's like, well, I don't know. Are you really going to spend your last couple bucks on coming to see my band, or are you going to try and feed yourself, for fuck's sakes?
Yeah.
Facts. And I think it's one of those things, like, you know, even when I was younger, like when I was underage and wanting to go see like shows and stuff, like I remember the first Matt Mays show, I was 16, 17 years old, going to what's now Cask and Kettle. It was Studio 112. Oh. And I remember like messaging the promoter at the time, who's a good friend of mine now, but she was 3 or 4 years older than me. Shout out Linda. And she was like, listen, Kate, liquor inspector is going to be there between this time and this time. We know that for sure. You need to stay under the radar, go over here. And if you see that liquor inspector, get your ass out of there, or else Linda gets a fine. And she doesn't mind as long as you abide by the rules. And the other thing about it is, like, a lot of times these shows were $40, $50, $60. Like, even at a time, I remember Grand Theft Bus shows were like $65. Like, at like, you know, like they were pretty expensive.
They were definitely.
And there would be times where you just didn't have it. And if you wanted to go so bad, you would reach out to the promoter and be like, hey, can I work the door? Can I work the merch table? Am I allowed to do something for you? Can I help load in? And some people will go that. Some people will say, well, I've got anxiety, but I'll go stand out in front with 100 people. But yet still go out and buy a couple cans of beer, right? And we've just seen it where we definitely say, if you don't have the cash or whatever, you know, send us a message. Just send us a message.
Yeah, make yourself useful.
But don't have any audacity showing up and just expecting to, you know, pay what you can or, you know,
I agree.
Tip your artists. Like, no. I see all y'all.
Well, speaking of shows, There's one coming up involving all of you that, Shawn, I believe you're the mastermind behind it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Wasted Day Brewing, September 1st at 7:30 p.m. sweetgoose64, myself, doing some electronic stuff. Hayden White, White VHS / Undo, his other project. He's going to be doing kind of a dual set, electronic as well. And then, of course, Dash Talk, who is coming back for like the first time in like, 3.5 years? Or this will be your second time back.
It's our second show, but it was like 3 years before that, 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the break the obvious about, I'm thinking COVID, or was it?
Yeah, just COVID. And
Yeah,
lack of Takapika. And yeah.
That disrupted everything for sure. It like,
Lack
yeah,
of
like
motivation, man.
like Will was saying, everything's kind of starting to come back now. But for the longest time, yeah, like our whole scene just didn't have a space really to play or perform or do any of that. So we all just kind of, I don't know, fell out for a little bit. But yeah, we're back now. We're making things happen, you know.
Cooking.
We had quite a lot of like traction going for us too. Like by the time that we put out our first EP show, we did a release show, and that ended up being like the second last show at Taco Pica right before the whole world went to shit. So we kind of, I think it was pretty, like, we didn't really stay much like in contact as far as music goes, like during that time, because I think it was just a pretty discouraging for all of us, where, you know, we were working pretty hard at this thing, and then just not really, you know, everything kind of slowed down. I mean, that can be said for a lot of people too. But
Was there, so you mentioned that things kind of slowed down with the music. Like individually, were you guys writing at all or thinking about what's next when this is over? Or was it sort of like, again, for a lot of people, like the whole thing was hard on everyone, right? And I'm kind of curious to see, like, did you do anything that kind of kept your love of music alive?
I wrote most of the songs for Dash Talk, and it was, I always played, but it's kind of hard to work towards something when you don't have any I don't know the word for it. There's no shows happening. So it was hard to write songs and hard to convince people to get together and jam at the space, especially when it was like,
there was no
rules about
incentive
it.
or motivation, right?
There it is.
Yeah.
That's a word.
No one to tell your story to.
Yeah. So it's really hard to get people together when there's seemingly no point. But yeah, we're back now.
How do you feel about this show coming up and being back at it? What was your first show like?
It was great. People were really stoked. We played at Wasted Day the same day that Haven did the soft open. So not as many people as we wished, but people messaged me on Instagram, and they're like, "You guys are back." And now we got a couple more shows booked. So it's great.
People are noticing. Yeah. So we hope you come out to this next one.
Well, that's exciting. So September 1st, that's exciting.
7:30.
And if nobody had heard about your bands before, or they didn't hear about the show, what is something that you'd want to convey to them about coming out to the show?
I think this is kind of like, I think the show that we just did the other night was more of like a dress rehearsal. Like, if you were there and you saw it, you could probably tell that, you know, we were shaking off the rust a little bit. But, you know, we were up there. We originally had 3 bands playing that night, and we only practiced twice before we even played. So we were kind of not really knowing what to expect, and it did turn out to be pretty good. And we were able to play like 11 songs, and in between, you know, joking and goofing off or whatever. But this show, like, if you wanted to see Dash Talk like since 2020 and like before that, I would definitely say that this is the show to come out to, because we're going to be a little bit more well rehearsed this time, and it's not going to be a lot of chit chat. It's just going to be the songs.
Well,
You're getting me amped up.
I think that's kind of like important to let people know in your event promotion too, because a lot of times, like, I mean, we were just talking about Queens of the Stone Age before you guys got here. And of course, like, being one of my favorite bands, I was really excited to go. I definitely thought they'd be an 8 for sure. It was an 11. Blew my socks right off. And I think that one of the things that makes a good show is it's not so much just like the performance. It's like seeing you guys have a good time on stage together. It's seeing just the joy that it brings you to perform in front of your friends or family or Santos or whoever it is that shows up, right? And I think like that kind of pride pulls through, and that's the charisma that brings people to your shows and makes you have bigger tours and like more listenership. And I can definitely see that's something that they're adjusting on their tour is it's like a little bit more crowd interaction, a little bit more charisma. And I think that when people are going out, especially if it's after 7 or 8 o'clock, especially as we get into like winter and whatnot, people really need a reason to go out and see their buds. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
like I'm staying in, I'm watching Below Deck. Sorry. But like I'm staying in, I'm watching shit shows.
I love those shows.
It's fucking awesome, right? Everyone loves it. Just leave me the hell alone. But then also let's rock out. So there's like a duality there, right? So I think it's important to tell people, like, if you're looking to come out and have a good time and see like 3 really wicked bands at a really great space that now has a shipping container deck and food and like it's absolutely stunning there, then you should definitely come out to the show because you'd be silly not to. This is one of my favorite segments of the show, though. This is where I hand it off to Charisse, and she asks her big question. I know Shawn probably knows this question that we're going to ask because he listens to the show. Do you guys listen to the show? It's okay if you don't. It's okay.
I've heard a couple
I've
episodes.
seen it. I've seen bits and pieces. I follow you guys on Instagram and stuff. So.
I know what the question is.
Oh my God. Zooms in on this part, blushing. Yeah, well, okay, Charisse, I'm going to hand it to you, girl.
Okay. You are somewhere is very remote and away from people.
Partridge Island.
You're on Partridge Island.
So ideal.
Partridge Island discs. Okay. Partridge Island discs. You're on Partridge Island. The breakwater is just, it's not there. No, it's gone. It's not there no more.
Destroyed.
It is, yeah. But for some reason, there is an old record player left by an old tuberculosis patient from back in the day. And you...
Okay.
It got dark.
Oh my God. I was just playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And like, you know, the cowboy character, Arthur Morgan, he like gets tuberculosis and she's just a sad tuberculosis ridden cowboy. And just...
Anyways, somehow there's a record player there, and somehow you brought 3 records with you to Partridge Island. What are those records and why? Who wants to go first?
All right.
You thought about this. I
My
appreciate it.
first one would be On the Corner, Miles Davis, because that's just a banger. Second, I'd probably bring something by Pine Grove so I can get in my feels a little bit.
There you go.
Third, probably just a Queen's album.
Okay.
Lullabies to Paralyze.
Okay.
I'd probably say Future Days by Can, because I love that German shit. All those krautrock bands, they're so dope. Really trancey, psychedelic kind of stuff. Probably the first record by the New York Dolls, just because
Yes.
just love that greasy old rock and roll bullshit.
Yes.
And Raw Power by the Stooges.
Damn, those last 2 are love that.
Good choices.
Hell yeah.
Partridge Island and Hank.
Yeah, exactly.
As I sanitize the tuberculosis-ridden record player, my 3 records of choice would probably be Polyguan Donaland by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I'm a big Giz head. It's just how it is. My second would probably be a soundtrack, actually. It's the soundtrack to Fallout New Vegas, which has a lot of like 50s big band stuff on it.
Interesting.
Rather than pick like a compilation of tracks like that, I guess the soundtrack's good enough. And then like, I don't know, probably something I listened to when I was a child, like the Lion King soundtrack, or like,
That's a good one to prance around to on an island.
Like I just picture you like
Yeah.
on some rock, like with their opening track.
yeah, and it's a coconut with a face drawn on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
There you go.
yeah, maybe like the, I'm an old school video game guy, like maybe like the Sonic 2 soundtrack or something like that.
Nice.
There you go.
I would definitely like keep some variety in there, and with the game game songs, you know, they can kind of infinitely loop,
Sure.
so you don't really get bored of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I don't even know. I got some weird picks.
Bring it.
Probably the first one I'd say Bamboo Magic by the Chris Hines combination. It's this old like late 70s record. Is like this Dutch flutist. It goes off though. It's like it's like
slaps.
mix of like funk and like I don't even know. Check it out though. It's great. My second pick would probably be Laserdisc Visions by New Dreams Limited. It's like a vaporwave, like very early vaporwave, very like a lot of tracks, but very short and just kind of sample based. Like Shawn was saying, they're like loopable.
Yeah.
So you never really get tired of them. And my third one would be a video game soundtrack. It's Asuka 120%. It's like this old Japanese fighting game for PlayStation. Every single track on that is
Kicking.
10 out of 10. Like literally every single track.
Our buddy John Borgley, shout out John at Campaign Media. He's been on the show a couple times. He has the most insane video game soundtrack record collection.
I'm all about it. I love it.
It was so shocking because we had no idea. One, he was just like, "Oh yeah, I got records," and we were like, "You collect records?" And he was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I got records." And we were like, "Oh, you should come over." And then when he started, he was like, and he just all these like super obscure, like eclectic records, and I was like, "You are insane," and I love that about it. Like it was awesome. So I always like
So many of them are limited run too.
Yep.
So it's like they make like
and the
500
art is
and that's
beautiful.
it.
They're usually like really like great
Yeah.
purchases. So yeah, if I ever find Sailor Moon on vinyl, like
Ooh.
fuck me up.
That'd be cool.
Fuck me up. It's true. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm sorry it was so humid
Yeah.
in the apartment.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having
thank-
us.
thank you.
I'm like, sorry if you smell me. Ew.
Oh no, we're good.
And to all y'all watching and listening, be a good pal. Go out to the show. Tell your friends if you can't make it. And better yet, tell them anyways so that they come with you.
And yeah, if people are, because we have a lot of listeners that are not in New Brunswick or St. John, where can people like hear you and support you other ways?
We're on Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. You can find us there. We're on Instagram at Bandcamp, at Dash Talk Canada on Instagram. Yeah.
Send
it's
them
the
a
best
heart
spot.
emoji, will ya?
And a big follow.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Until next time, keep it strange.
I love that.
I don't know what this is. I thought it was the outro.
If you've enjoyed this, then you have to hit strangegrooves.com for more amazing content. To support this podcast and music community, go to patreon.com/strangegrooves. As always, keep it strange.